This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 6:15. Here is the news, edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The President instructs health officials to vaccinate those over 30 years in the Western Province before 31st of July. The Prime Minister says that development activities will continue amid pandemic. Government informs the European Union of the progress in some areas of reconciliation. World Food and Agriculture Organization agrees to support organic fertilizer use. Foreign news. Last, US and NATO forces leave key Afghanistan base. Sports news. Breastfeeding athletes are now allowed to bring children to Olympics. Local news in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed the health sector officials to vaccinate all the people aged over 30 in the Western Province before 31st of July. The President's media division said 60% of the people in the relevant age category in Colombo, 47% in Gampaha and 34% in Kaluthura districts have been so far given the first dose of the vaccine. The President emphasized the need to inoculate a higher percentage of the people in all parts of the country before September in a systematic manner following the receipt of the vaccines that have been ordered. President Rajapaksa gave these instructions at a meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat this morning with a special committee on COVID-19 control on the vaccination drive and future operations. The President also expressed confidence that Sri Lanka would soon receive the required amount of AstraZeneca vaccines for the second dose. Accordingly, the President instructed the health officials to make proper arrangements to provide the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine to all those who have received it as the first dose. Specialist Dr. Prasanna Gunasena, member of the Special Committee on COVID-19 Control, pointed out that the World Health Organization has recommended that a person who has received the first dose of AstraZeneca vaccine can receive the second dose within a period of 45 weeks. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the country will face many difficulties if development activities were stopped due to the pandemic. The Prime Minister said that development activities have not been stopped in the wake of the pandemic. 262 million rupees have been spent to control COVID-19. All steps have been taken to protect people, recognizing value of their lives. The vaccination program is continuing. The road network should be developed to grow the economy. The Prime Minister pointed out that remote villages have been developed due to expressways. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa expressed these views while attending today to declare open Kapuduwa interchange of the Southern Expressway, underpass near Peradeniya Hospital, and to commence work on the Colombo Port Maritime Facilities Centre over digital technologies. Speaking on the occasion, Minister Rohit Abegunwardena said that the Maritime Facilities Centre will provide services from one place to the customers arriving at the port. Minister Johnson Fernando said that the road network and the expressway network will be maintained amid the pandemic. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the Sri Lankan government has apprised the European Union of the progress in specific areas of reconciliation as part of its regular engagement and dialogue with the organization. Accordingly, the ministry on 25th June informed the EU of action underway to revisit provisions of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. number 48 of 1979, with the study of existing legislation, past practice and international best practices. The EU was informed of the decision made by the Cabinet of Ministers on June 21st to appoint a cabinet subcommittee and an official committee to assist the said subcommittee to review the PTA and to submit a report to the cabinet within 3 months. World Food and Agriculture Organization has agreed support to make organic fertilizer use more methodically. Attention has been paid on preparing an index on soil composition in all districts. Discussions in this regard took place between Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Sri Lankan resident representative of the World Food and Agriculture Organization, Vimalendra Sharan. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
Continuing with more local news, Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Education, LMD Dharmasena, says that online education remains a problem for rural children, although it can cover the school syllabus. Although 194 school days should have been held last year in the Western Province, schools could not be held for 100 days. He said the discussions are taking place on opening schools. Attention has been paid on opening schools in rural areas with a less number of students in the first phase. Attention has also been paid on opening students for grades 5, 11, 12 and 13. State Minister Ajit Newat says that as a people-sensitive government, it is aware about the inconvenience caused to the people by increasing fuel price. However, he said that the local fuel price is still at a low price when compared to with the other countries. He mentioned this during a media briefing today at the Government Information Department. He said that when the price of oil reduces in the world market, the benefit will be passed on to the people. A program to plant 4 million coconut trees will commence on the 10th of this month at Venappu electoral division under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. State Minister Arundika Fernandes said that a streamlined program will be implemented to promote exports. The Indian High Commission said that the hydrographic survey ship of Indian Navy, INS Sarvekshak, entered Colombo after successful completion of survey in 3 areas off Colombo. It was deployed on request of the government of Sri Lanka on 23rd June 2021 to conduct a survey in the vicinity of the ill-fated MV Express Pearl. A felicitation ceremony was organized today to mark the completion of this survey. Speaking at the ceremony, Minister Douglas Devananda thanked the Government of India and the Indian Navy in particular for their prompt response and acknowledged India's vision of safety and growth for all in the region through this gesture. High Commissioner Gopal Bagle highlighted that India and Sri Lanka have cooperated on many occasions for mitigation of maritime disasters. He also expressed pride in India's assistance in restoring the livelihood of Sri Lankan fishermen along the western coast. Due to the current COVID-19 situation, the United Arab Emirates has banned its citizens from travelling to 14 countries including Sri Lanka. Other countries that have been banned by the UAE are Pakistan, Nepal, India, South Africa, Bangladesh, Namibia, Zambia, Vietnam, Congo, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia and Uganda. The travel ban will remain in place until 21st of July. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga has said that the government will provide the necessary assistance to improve the tourism industry in the Eastern Province. The aim is to rebuild tourism, which has been affected by COVID-19. The minister stated that at a meeting held yesterday at the Batticaloa District Secretariat regarding the Eastern Province tourism. The annual July Festival of Mana Madhu Shrine concluded today with the blessing of the Mother of Madhu. The High Mass was presided over by Auxiliary Bishop of Colombo, Most Reverend Dr. Anton Ranjit Jayakodi, Bishop of Kurunegala, Reverend Dr. Harold Anthony Pereira, and Bishop of Mana, Reverend Dr. Emmanuel Fernando. Madhushrayan's annual festival started with the flag hoisting on the 23rd of June and ended today. Only a limited number of devotees were allowed this time at Madhu Festival due to the spread of COVID-19 virus. That ends local news.
The largest bonus declared in the history of the Sri Lankan insurance industry. Sri Lanka Insurance Grand Bonus, an unmatchable bonus of 8.6 billion rupees only for Sri Lanka Insurance life policy holders from the nation's largest insurer. Call 0112 357 357 for more details. Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
State Ministry of Primary Health Services Pandemic and COVID Control says that 72% of the senior citizens at elders' homes has been given the COVID vaccine. State Minister Dr. Sudarshani Fernandopoulos said that 6,360 elders have been given the COVID vaccine. She said that employees at elders' homes will also be vaccinated. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Department of Registration of Persons says that it will resume services to the public with effect from Monday only by prior appointment basis. Applicants who have already submitted applications and wish to come to the department to get national identity cards are requested to resume and reserve a date. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Last US and NATO forces leave key Afghanistan base. 10 churches vandalized in Alberta on Canada Day. Boy Scouts of America reaches the largest sexual abuse settlement in the US history. World news in detail. The last US and NATO forces have left Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, the epicenter of the war against the jihadist militants for some 20 years. The pullout could signal that the complete withdrawal of foreign forces from Afghanistan is imminent. President Joe Biden has said U.S. forces will be gone by 11th September, but the withdrawal from the sprawling base north of Kabul comes as the main jihadist group, the Taliban, advances in many parts of the Afghanistan. 10 churches have been vandalized in Alberta, Canada, in attacks that police have linked to anger over historic injustices against Indigenous people. Investigators in the province said orange and red paint was daubed on the churches in the city of Calgary. The premier of the Alberta said that the attacks were appalling. It comes after unmarked graves were found around former church-run residential schools that Indigenous children were once forced to attend. The Boy Scouts of America has reached $850 million settlement with some 60,000 people have claimed of historic sexual abuse. Lawyers say it will be the largest sexual abuse settlement in U.S. history. In terms of the reported numbers, it dwarfs similar complaints made against the Catholic Church in this century and the country. The BSA has apologized to victims and filed for a bankruptcy last year, saying it would set up a compensation trust for victims of sexual abuse. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Last US and NATO forces leave key Afghanistan base. 10 churches vandalized in Alberta on Canada Day. Boy Scouts of America reaches the largest sexual abuse settlement in the U.S. history. That ends world news. Moving on to development news, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has declared open the Kapuduwa interchange of Southern Expressway and Gatembe underpass today. He also laid the foundation stone to construct a maritime facilitation centre at the Colombo port. The construction of Maritime Facilitation Centre is expected to be completed in 2023. That came to you on Development News. Moving on to sports news, Olympics. Tokyo 2020 organizers say nursing children can accompany Olympic athletes to Tokyo when necessary. It comes after Canadian basketball star Kim Go-seo, who has a 3-month-old daughter, said she was being forced to choose between being a breastfeeding mom or an Olympic athlete. Organizers have banned athletes' families attending the games due to COVID-19 safety protocols. Formula One. Two-time champion Fernando Alonso says Red Bull's Max Verstappen is favourite to beat Lewis Hamilton and win the Formula One title on current form. Verstappen leads Hamilton by 18 points ahead of his weekend's Austrian Grand Prix after 4 straight wins by Red Bull. The 23-year-old Dutchman is aiming to secure his first Drivers' Championship. Rugby news. Premiership champions Harlequins have appointed former All Black century Tarby Matson to lead their coaching team next season. The 48-year-old will join the club later this month after his contract as head coach of New Zealand under-20s comes to an end. He will work as senior coach leading the club's team of specialist coaches. That ends the sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation has declared a staggering life insurance bonus of 8.6 billion rupees for the year 2020 to its policyholders. It is the largest life insurance bonus ever to be declared in the insurance industry of Sri Lanka, recording a total of life insurance bonus declared to the policyholders since 2005 to 73.2 billion rupees. That came to you on Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
According to a report by SoftLogic stockbrokers, while big corporates managed to acclimatize to the lockdown-style restructurings, small business are increasingly being pushed to a corner and could even be pushed to go out of the business. In a report to announce the highest ever profit recorded by the big corporates listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange for the quarter ended March 2021, SoftLogic stockbrokers said these companies have shown increasingly more adaptability and the ability to withstand restrictions. That ends economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department shows showers or thundershowers will occur at times in western, Sabragama, northwestern and southern provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara districts. Fairly heavy showers above 50 mm can be expected at some places in western and sub-Saharan provinces and in Gol and Mathura districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in Uva and eastern provinces and in the Mullaitivu and Vavuniya districts in the evening or night. Wind speed can increase up to 40 km per hour at times over western slope of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. That ends the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The President instructs the health officials to vaccinate those over 30 years in the Western Province before 31st of July. The Prime Minister says that development activities will continue amid the pandemic. Government informs the European Union of the progress in some areas of reconciliation. World Food and Agriculture Organization agrees to support organic fertilizer use. Foreign news, last US and NATO forces leave key Afghanistan base. Sports news, breastfeeding athletes are now allowed to bring children to Olympics. That ends the evening news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka.